Klar.
Welcome back to the third part of the team analysis of the UGA. Today we have the third part. As I mentioned before, I'm kind of lost. Thank you very much. And we go straight through the analysis of the Yorkshire Yampers of Zap. So what we have here?
First of all, I don't remember the first pick. I think it was Tyranitar, right?
Yes, it was Tyranitar.
Yeah, and Tyranitar is, in my opinion, always one of the best mons. And in most draft leagues I played, I picked Tyranitar or Mega Tyranitar because it's just such a monster on its own. There's a reason why it's so strong in every format besides Primal format it's allowed. And yeah, the typing maybe not the best with the quadruple weakness to fighting, but the stats and the move pool make it such a strong one, especially with Comfy. Comfy being able to proc the weakness policy, being able to provide trick room and heal the Tyranitar. That's just disgusting. I don't even want to think about it. And Comfy also with ally switch helps in dealing with fighting type attacks. And Torracat helps bulking out the Tyranitar even more. And then there's also a Dracovish, and Dracovish is the most stupid mon they added in this gen. The Fish's Venture is just disgustingly strong, especially with speed control, which Fletchinder provides. I think in the document it's a little bit wrong. If I'm not wrong,
I think Fletchinder is in their team, that's correct.
Yes, I just checked it. Fletchinder over Rhydon is in the team. And I think that was a pretty good swap. Because, Fletchinder is just a really good partner for Dracovish.
Yeah, exactly. It just doubles the attack of the Fish's Rend, which is amazing. That's so insane if you think about it. It's a strong attack even without the double stat. But with the double base power, it's just strong.
Yeah, you can one-shot monsters like Milotic with Choice Band. It's just stupid. It's so stupid.
and remember how everybody was joking on them when you, Chulainn, actually picked Excadrill and they couldn't pair Tita with Excadrill, but then they went for Comfey instead to have that weakness policy combination, and that was just insane. Actually, I don't think anybody had that on their radar at that point.
No, when I think about Comfy, I'm always thinking about Blastoise, Lapras, and Goodra, but I do not think about Tyranitar. That was a really good pick, and I think they sniped several other coaches.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Also, Buffalon is also a really good partner for Comfy with Hepzibah.
Yes, that makes the pick even stronger.
Yeah, and what they also have is grassy terrain, and Comfy loves grassy terrain because it heals more, and it also has an ability other than Tri-Ash with gets boosted with grassy terrain. I think it says that grass mons cannot get dropped their stats if I'm correct, and that can be niche in some matches, I think, with Roserade and Threcky.
Yeah, it does have Flower Veil as a first ability, I think, and that makes it really strong if you want to surprise your opponent in certain matchups.
Yeah, and what I really do like is, it told before, Chulainn sniped the Excadrill, but they drafted Stoutland as a substitute for that. So, kind of, because it has the Sand Rush ability as well, and it can do a lot of damage to the opposing side as well, because it has a lot of move coverage. They have the Intimidate ability as well on their side, if they want to play it. I mean, it shares the same weakness to Tyranitar, on the, if you think on the fighting types, but they have Comfy and Core Ignite, right? So
And
they have
Stoutland can go for play rough. And what Stoutland also
Yeah.
has what many people forget about is after you.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's true, and that's a really interesting choice. And
Yeah.
another really interesting shenanigan you could pull off with that is the same that you could do with Kangaskhan, which I didn't mention in the previous part, so I also won't mention it now, but it actually has the same moveset for that. And that's
I
a
know
pretty
what
scary.
you're talking about. I know it.
That's a pretty scary option if you ask me.
I write it to you, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning. Yeah. What I also really like is the Behem. Behem covers the weakness of Tyranitar and the other squad members, and it can also deal massive damage with analytics. I do not remember what exactly its special attack stat is, but I believe it's 130 or something like that.
I think 125.
Even more, and it also has decent coverage. I would say not the best, but it has what it needs. But what I don't like as much is the G-Max Corviknight pick. I mean, typing wise, it's really good, steel and flying, but I just think that G-Max Corviknight, especially in VGC, is a little bit wasted because you just cannot boost your speed, and without the speed boost, Corviknight is just not a really scary mon, offensive wise at least. And the G-Max move is just a little bit useless in VGC.
I would also say...
Besides you playing against the Lapras, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Lapras.
Exactly, but that's literally the only case in which that G-Max move will benefit her team. And you also have to consider that Grimmsnarl didn't even get picked. So that was one of the other two prominent options where the max move could have pulled some heavy weight, but with just Lapras being in the format as a very dominant screen setter, there's not a lot of use cases where you want to apply that over a max airstream.
Yeah, and without it, I think there's just a little bit less of speed control. I mean, you have Thatchinda, which is okay, but other than that, there is not too much speed control.
Comfy
Behem. Yeah, you can go the slow road, but what if I somehow prevent your Trick Room hardcore? Let's say I go for Imprison Trick Room, and I have a Fake Out user which prevents Thatchinda from doing a thing. What do you do then? You can go for Scarf Dracovish and Stoutland, but it's not the best. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's definitely a little bit lackluster on the fast side.
I mean, you have the sand mode as well. The Tyranitar and Stoutland can go the fast mode.
Yeah, true.
And what I do like, to be honest, is they dropped the Twacky and they dropped the Roserade as well. And I think Roserade is overlooked a little bit because it's very strong, especially in the grassy terrain. It can hit very hard, has a very good move pool, okay bulk, good speed, so I think it's a good pick as well in my opinion. Especially if you want to deal with opposing water, ground types as well, and
it covers pretty much every weakness of Tyranitar.
Yeah. So this is why I think Roserade fits very good in this team.
Yeah, it beats water, fighting, ground, not steel, grass types. It beats really everything Tyranitar hates to see.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the rating of the Yorkshire Yampers?
Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, there are strong modes with the Tyranitar and so on, but at the same time, the team is also a little bit very heavy physical, other than Roserade and Behem. There are pretty much only physical threats, and I think that's... the opponent can prepare for it super well if they have Intimidate or some sort of screen support or something like that. and I just think that there are also some weaknesses that the members share in each other. For example, the fighting and flying weakness is a little bit, although flying not too much, but fighting definitely. I just think there could be a little bit of improvement, especially in special attackers, and a little bit faster options would be good as well. So right now I would go with a 3 as always, because I think the teams we have seen so far, none of them were pretty bad. So I have to go with a 3.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Especially on the last thing you said, none of the teams so far really had a bad draft, and all of them have at least some great options and gems in their team, and so do the Yorkshire Yampers. There's definitely nice routes that you can go for, but your opponent also has rather reliable ways to prevent you from doing that. If they prepare well, they are sitting in a good spot to win the game. On the other hand, if the Yorkshire Yampers manage to pull off some nice surprises, they are sitting in a good spot to win the game. So I also go with the 3. I don't think I said that before.
Okay, I would go with a 3.5, I guess, because I think they're very nice modes here. I think are very well overlooked Pokemon. They can surprise, especially in a draft format, and I think they have a good speed modes as well, just in my opinion. So yeah, I think with the 3.5.
Okay.
Right, the British Braviarys.
Yeah.
Who wants to make the first shot?
Okay, I think I will just take a shot on the team because if I look over the team, I just see Incineroar and Dracozolt, and I'm kind of scared of Whimsicott, and this just kind of scares me a lot because I think alone these 3 picks are pretty scary. Because the Whimsicott covers a lot of options, especially with the Tailwind, but it has fake tears as well for the picks of the Inteleon in the max slot. But I think the Pelipper is an interesting choice here. I don't think it fits that well in that team.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like they drafted that and had something different in mind, and then got sniped.
Yeah. I think they're missing some, besides the Inteleon on the special side, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but you have Glaceon, but Glaceon is not a big of a deal.
Because of the speed tiering is not that good.
I mean, he has super fast mons in Whimsicott and Inteleon, and also Dracozolt with max airstream can become really fast. But on the bottom side, there is not really an option. Does Orbital get Trick Room? I think it does, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much sure it gets.
But Trick Room, it's green.
Okay, yeah. So there's a Trick Room option. I know Whimsicott has Trick Room as well, but that's rather cheeky. But there aren't really good Trick Room sweepers. I mean, your only Trick Room options are Machoke and Grablock, which are pretty much the same Pokemon, and Glaceon and Leafeon, but Leafeon is not. No, Leafeon is pretty fast with 95. What am I saying? So your only Trick Room options are Incineroar, your 2 fighting ones, and Glaceon, and none of them are too threatening. Glaceon, especially without being able to spam Hail. I mean, Inteleon can go for Max Hailstorm, but then you don't have Trick Room for Glaceon, so that's kinda hard to set up.
Team looks like kind of they picked Pokemon, but they synergize not that well with each other. Especially what I don't like is that they have 2 Trick Room setups which are pretty fast. Not only Whimsicott, Orbital has a base speed of 90, I guess.
Yeah, 90.
90, yeah, so it's not a good Trick Room abuser as well. What I do, I think, do they have some option of to put a gravity? I don't think so, right?
No, Orbital only can with a G-Max move.
G's Gravitas, yeah. So they are lacking a gravity, I think, as well.
Yeah, gravity would have been good.
Especially for the Dracozolt, that would have been a nice mode to go for.
Yeah.
But the way, or with just a regular Orbital, the pairing is okay at best.
I mean, for me, it's similar to the Hardcore Sun team. You have really good, your 6 months which are really good in Inteleon, Mamoswine, Dracozolt, Whimsicott, Incineroar, and I also like Pelipper because you can go for a Q next to Pelipper with Mamoswine and you boost up your Inteleon because Inteleon cannot go for Rain on its own. So Pelipper is not as bad of a pick. It also has Tailwind support, which is pretty good. But the other picks, especially Machoke and Grablock, I do not get them. And also Glaceon, when we already have Mamoswine, I think they had a really good idea what they want to pick at the start, and then when it comes to round up the draft, they kinda picked whatever they could get, but they may not have thought about everything they should have.
I think the team looks like they got sniped a lot, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah, that could potentially be.
It looks kind of weird on paper because I think as Mamoswine and Incineroar and even though Leafeon don't like the rain that much because Leafeon, okay, but it wants the sun up to get this chlorophyll ability trigger, which you can do with Whimsicott, of course. But then Inteleon does not that much damage. And Mamoswine is a strong Pokemon as itself, but it just doesn't synergize that well in that team, I think. It's kind of weird.
I mean, it supports Inteleon really well, being able to beat Grass and Electric types. That's pretty decent, I would say.
But I think Mamoswine is always a two-sided sword. I mean, I played it a lot of times in VGC. I think from season 2 to 6 in every team, but it's always a two-sided sword.
Yeah, I also like the Mamoswine pick because I like Mamoswine as a Pokemon, but at the same time, as with the rest of the team, it kind of is weird in the overall bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, my main problem are the bottom tier picks. They are kind of trashy in my opinion. So,
yeah,
but if they swap these months,
right?
Yeah, they have 2 water types, 2 ice types, 2 fighting types, and 2 grass types.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of duplication as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you swap your low tier monsters like Machoke, Glaceon, and stuff like that, if you swap them to better options to have more typings in your team and more options, for example, a Trick Room mode, I think this team can have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, the British Braviarys were the ones that thought they have more points than they actually had and went for 2 T1 picks straight with Whimsicott and Dracozolt. And they had those for their free picks, and then there weren't that many points left for them. So they kind of played themselves into a corner right at the beginning of the draft. And that made the rest of the process very difficult for them. Sorry, go ahead.
They didn't want to make the last picks, I think. So maybe those are the waste picks they didn't want to make anyway.
Yeah, that could definitely be.
So if Cake is watching this, please comment. Why did you choose Quackalock and Machoke? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Overall, I would say this is one of the weaker teams that we have in the draft. I would currently rank this team with a 2, to be honest. And I think we could be in for some interesting surprises here, and the team could very well turn into one of the bigger threats of the draft, actually, if you get to swap out the right Pokemon and get the missing parts into your team somehow over the rest of the season, kind of.
I agree part-wise. I agree with that you have to do a lot of changes, but you have to keep in mind that Inteleon, Incineroar, Whimsicott, and Dracozolt do provide so many good options. You cannot really predict what you want to do, especially with Whimsicott. And Inteleon and Dracozolt are both super heavy hitters, and Incineroar is one of the best support mons, probably the best support mon ever created. And these 4 alone gives you so many options that I have to say this team cannot be a 2 for me, although the other picks aren't really as good, but these 4 picks alone give you really, really strong core that I would say the team overall is at least 2.5. It could be so much higher, but the other picks are just too weak, in my opinion.
Alright.
I think you didn't cast your vote yet, Rex.
Oh no, I said I would go for between 2 and 2.5.
I see, okay.
So 2.25.
Because I think Incineroar, Dracozolt, Whimsicott, and Chulainn are pretty strong, but the rest of the team is kinda iffy.
Right, the Norwegian Darmanitans are up next. My opponent for the first week, actually, I didn't get to look at that team too close yet, but the 2 things that immediately popped into my eye when I saw the team and made me go, oh no, were definitely both Urshifu as well as Cinderace. Those 2 are such a lethal combination. Honestly, I'm already afraid of that battle, to be honest.
Right.
And then there's also the Cantonian Wheezing, of course, which you shouldn't ever underestimate. Especially, I don't think I give anything away here, but Cole doesn't like this one too much.
Yeah.
He hates it.
I think
Also, what I really like is the Seveli pick.
Yeah.
You have pretty much every typing with it, and it has so much good support moves, and the stats are really, really good overall.
And it has Tailwind?
No, it doesn't. Not anymore. It's a tutor move.
Not anymore.
Gen 6.
Okay, it can boom. It just can let it explode.
Yeah, it can do so many other stuff. It has Parting Shot, it has Snarl, Icy Wind, it has really good coverage overall, and you can prep with it really well because you have this mon which has 95 in every stat and can have every type in the game. You can just say, okay, this Pokemon is problematic, I will build my Seveli specifically to beat this Pokemon.
Yeah, I agree.
It can set up with Sword Set as well.
Yeah, it can. Totally.
It just has so much great versatility and flexibility with the ability it gets that you pretty much have, as Chulainn already said, you have a free Pokemon every week. Just kind of like, it's kind of like the better Ditto, to be honest, to me. You don't get to copy your opponent, but you get to counter it. Play it out correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it pretty much plays to its own strength rather than Ditto.
Exactly.
And what is always a threat, at least on our opposing side, is a Duraludon. Especially if you combine it with the Cottony. I mean, it's a cheap Whimsicott, but can do a lot of work, especially with Duraludon. I mean, you can Fake Tear as well as in Tailwind.
No, Tailwind, it doesn't have Tailwind, but it has Cotton Spore, which is -2 speed on both opponents.
So they strict it about of Tailwind.
Yeah.
It had Tailwind before.
Negative Tailwind for the opponent.
Okay, but it hadn't Trick Room in the gen before, but it had Tailwind. It's kind of surprising. I think it has.
No, it doesn't. I just checked it, because if it would have Tailwind, I would pick it immediately after Charizard.
Okay.
So Cottony tier 3 with Tailwind would be busted. It's already busted as a tier 3 pick.
But I think Duraludon is a very strong Pokemon pick here as well in the draft format, because a lot of teams has redirection, of course. And the typing of Steel and Dragon is pretty strong. Good coverage, good physical bulk at least. And it can hit like a truck.
Yeah, and with Assault Vest and good investment, you are pretty tanky on the special side as
Yeah.
well. And what we didn't mention is the Tangrowth. Tangrowth can act
Exactly.
as a really good Rage Powder user, but at the same time, since he has the regular Cinderace, he can set up the Sun, and then all of a sudden Tangrowth can be a really, really fast Pokemon, being able to go for strong attacks like Leaf Storm or even physical attacks. It also has Knock Off, I believe.
Yeah.
And it has fast Sleep Powder. It
Yes.
can become a really, really scary Pokemon.
Can it learn Acid
It
Spray?
also can go for rather the bulky route with the Leech Seed and all that stuff and Regenerator in the back. There's quite some options you can put into the Tangrowth here.
Does it have Acid Spray in this gen?
I don't know that.
I don't think so, no.
I didn't even know it had Acid Spray.
I don't think it has.
But what you can also do is Insomnia. With I don't know how the attack is called, but for example, if your opponent has a lot of sleep mechanics, you can simply use what is the attack called, which makes you immune to sleep. Worry Seed, exactly. You can Worry Seed a mon of yourself and protect yourself from sleep, which is niche, but it's always valuable to have that option.
And we didn't talk a lot about Urshifu, because I think it speaks to itself. I mean, Single Strike Urshifu is just a threat. I mean, he doesn't have to get to Gigantamax it in every match, right? It just can do a band on it and just kill opponents.
Yeah, I think they also have enough max options beside the Urshifu with, for example, Cinderace, Duraludon, stuff like that. They are all very scary while being maxed. So there's great versatility and also tactical potential.
Yeah,
with Magic Guard Life Orb, it deals disgusting damage.
Yeah.
And it's with Overcoat, it's a pretty reliable Trick Room setter as well. The only thing is it lacks a partner. There is not a really good Trick Room Sweeper other than it.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep up the pace. Is there anything left to say before the voting?
Yeah, because I think we didn't talk about Mr. Rhyme. I think I'm very curious about what they're doing with Mr. Rhyme. I think they have a lot of options with it. It can do stuff, but I don't want to tell it here. I'm just curious what they're doing then in the weeks with Mr. Rhyme.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it that much, at least not in the first week. You can do whatever you want with it in the second weekend onwards, but let's see.
Look, Mr. Rhyme Oko in Colossal.
Yeah, something like that, whatever.
For the right ranking, I think this team is very well rounded. It has offensive threats, it's bulky, it has a lot of different modes. I mean, it lacks like a Trick Room mode, but I think they can play around it. I don't think they need Trick Room. And the Urshifu just is a threat for opposing Trick Rooms. So I think this team is pretty strong, pretty scary, and in my opinion, one of the best as well. I would go for 4.5. Yeah.
I would agree part-wise. I just think there's at least one wasted pick with a Mudbray. I just don't see what Mudbray shall do, other than being a sitting duck or a cheap Mudstale.
They will show you.
But yeah, I also like the Lapras pick. Lapras, even regular Lapras, is really good. I brought it to a regional this year, and it did really well with Perish Song endgames. So yeah, because there's a Mudbray and not a real Trick Room mode, I would say I would go with a 4, but it's a strong 4.
Yeah, I would actually go with I would say a weak 5 or even a strong 4. I don't think it matters that much. So I'm agreeing with Rex here. The 4.5 is definitely worthy for this team. I also think Mudbray is kind of wasted. I mean, it can have its uses, but throughout most of the league, I don't think it will see much usage. However, there's so many scary strong Pokemon on this team already that you might as well be okay with actually even wasting one pick. So they are still scary enough. So 4.5 it is, at least.
Couldn't Kevlon beat up, right?
I don't think so. I don't. Let me check it real quick. You can go to the next team. I will check it in that time.
Alright, then on we go with the Zapping Pincurchins.
Oh yeah.
They were extremely excited about picking their Series 6 team together, and it looks like they kind of did.
Couldn't get beat up, by the way. Okay, go on.
Well, Mudbray is in the game.
They definitely got to snipe me at least once with the Frostless. That was one of the options that I was looking at as well. Definitely a very interesting, cool Pokemon. And it would have, let me put it that way, it would have paired well with the rest of my team I had so far. I had to redirect after that a bit, and they actually got to do kind of exactly what I had in mind too. So we see here the Frostless, the Crocodile, which is a nice pairing, of course. Then we have the Gigantamax Blastoise. Again, kind of the same threat as G-Max Charizard, G-Max Venusaur, and Colossal. So that's definitely a valuable pick. It doesn't affect water types, but you don't necessarily need to affect the water types if you have other ways to deal with them. For example, the Electric Terrain Core, which we see here with Pincurchin and Alolan Raichu.
Yeah, exactly. What I also really like is that he kind of went for the same thread I wanted to go with Ninetales Blastoise in Vanilluxe Blastoise, because with the Hail and the Vortex you do so much chip damage every turn, and you can also go for powerful Blizzards with both of them. And Vanilluxe also has Aurora Veil, and it has Taunt option, which Ninetales does not have. So yeah, I really like the combination of these two as well. Also, Vanilluxe can proc weakness policies on Crocodile with Ice Shard. Yeah, so that's one of the best picks on the team in my opinion. Also, I really like the Togepi and especially the Salazzle. Salazzle is, in my opinion, one of the best support Pokemon in the game. It's super fast, it has Fake Out, it has so many other nasty things, it has Fake Tears, and it combines the main modes of the team super well. It provides Fake Out and Fake Tears support for Blastoise, but at the same time it has Beat Up for Cobalion, which is super good.
Yeah, that is definitely a lead that can throw you off, especially if you don't have the Beat Up in mind. When I first played Salazzle Cobalion as during the ladder once, I didn't know that Salazzle got beat up this generation, and they actually just melted my team with the justified boosted Cobalion. So that's definitely something that the opponent has to prepare for each and every week.
Yeah. And another setup mode is the Frostless with the Crocodile with the Anger mode. Could be very scary as well. And what I do like is the Pincurchin Slurperf combination, because you can just after you the Pincurchin, because Slurperf Bird Boost, and Bird Boost is just very fast and is a supporting threat with after you and a lot of other stuff it can do. Not to underestimate.
And don't forget. Sorry, go ahead.
Although, yeah, I think Slurperf can belly drum as well, right?
It does.
I think so.
So he has another setup option. So it's very setup crazy stuff. What is going on here? and have redirection as well, fast mode, kind of slow mode as well. I don't know exactly what Lunatone is doing, but I think they will surprise me.
I think he wanted to fix the ground weakness, and I think Lunatone also has Trick Room.
Exactly. I watched their video and they said that Lunatone kind of fit into the missing Trick Room option here. It was a pretty late pick in the draft, I think, so I definitely respect that one and can see why and how it fits into the team. But yes, it's one of the weaker ones. However, every team has one of these weak picks in a way with how the tiering system is set up. So that I think it still makes sense, even though there have been better options at that time. I don't have the drafting process in mind that well anymore.
Yeah, but now we covered a lot of the strength of the team, but there's one major weakness in my opinion, and that's the ground weakness.
Yeah,
you have so much ground weaknesses with Cobalion, the Electric Core, and Celestial, and 4 of these mons are your main sort of damage in some games. And if your opponent has, for example, an EQ user next to a flying type or a Levita user or something like that, you can't even redirect that, and Blastoise alone may not enough to deal with these nasty ground types, especially since you don't have a grass type in your team.
Especially Gastrodon looks pretty scary, if you ask me.
Yes, other than freeze right here is nothing for it.
But what is pretty scary from the get-go is the Pincurchin alone Raichu combination, because not every team has Terrain as an instant option, and Pincurchin is just the slowest terrain setter, so you get it for free even though you can switch it in the first round. So to be sure that the Lone Raichu is the fastest mon on the field. And the Rising Voltage does crazy amount of damage.
Yeah, it's disgustingly strong.
Okay, is there something left to say about the Pincurchins?
Yeah, I just want to say I would love if they would switch in some ground resistance and definitely grass type to the team.
Yeah.
Because right now they are just way too weak to ground. They have really good modes, really good combinations they can go for. They can go for so many different options every week, but yeah, the weaknesses are a little bit too major in my opinion.
Yeah, especially if the opposing side has some redirection, it gets tricky for this team, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely see those points. Overall, I still think the team is pretty threatening. So my vote would go to a strong 3, which I think it's a 4 at this point. Honestly, the ground type weakness makes me want to maybe go down to a 3.5 or a 3, but aside from that, it's a very scarily strong team.
Yeah, for me it's kind of the same as for the Sun team. It's like, if you get your mode rolling, you will steamroll your opponent, but if your opponent is prepared for it and takes advantage of your major weakness, you just get stomped. So if they fix it, the team can become really scary. But right now I would say if you prepare for it, the team is only a 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, I think as it is of now, I think because you can prepare for it pretty good. Besides, it has very good setup modes. I think I would go for 3 as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Now it's time for me to shut up.
Yeah, we're actually getting to the last of the 3 of us. So the charging Charizards are the next in the list. Rex, do you want to start?
Okay. How can I start here? I mean, I look over the team and I see a lot of threats, especially the Charizard, the G-Max Charizard, the Excadrill, which are amazingly combination. They were every year, I think they would be combined. So Excadrill and Charizard has a good history in my mind as a duo. Then there is a Primarina, which fits pretty well in that combination, I think, and it's very hard as well. A lot of spread damage, high damage spread damage. Then there is a Manectric to cover with the Lightning Rod the weakness of Electric on the Primarina and the Charizard. And the Excadrill covers the Electric type weakness as well. Then there is the Meowstic Male with the Prankster ability, which can do unlimited amount of shenanigans. With Fake Out, with Screens, Hypnosis. I don't know if it can learn Fake Tears, but maybe it can. I don't know.
It does.
It does, so it's even more scary. Then the Noivern, I think you have 3 Frisk Pokemon. Wasn't it the other Gino you had?
Yes,
Yeah?
3.
Okay, 3. But the Noivern with the Frisk ability, very fast Tailwind Setter. The Boomburst you can use as well with the Trevenant in combination. You can just Boomburst and maybe Trick Room nearby. The Trevenant has the cool move that I think Halloween was the other one, but this is Curse, something Curse, right?
Forest Curse.
Forest Curse, to add Grass type to the opposing side, which likes the Charizard a lot. The Wigglytuff with the competitive ability is good to cover Intimidate stuff. And I think it can stuff like Round, which you can combine with the Primarine.
And Noivern.
To do some other shenanigans. The Urshifu single strike speaks for itself. So offensively, this team is just a crush. It just punches me in the face if I look on it. And it has a lot of... do you have beat up as well in the team?
I don't think so.
Okay, so then the Crossel doesn't count that much, but it's as well a very good Pokemon with its typing of Rock and Bug, and I think it fits very well in that team.
I have a very specific strategy in mind with Crossel.
Okay.
I won't say what.
I'm looking forward to seeing that play out, because I watched your video and you said that you were surprised by how threatening Crossel can be, and I'm really looking forward to what that might be in the end. It's definitely one of the surprise picks in your team, but I would say it can definitely pull its weight. And I totally have to agree with everything Rex just said. I think the only thing you forget was that Manectric with its Lightning Rod also covers the Noivern, of course, which is a flying type as well.
Yeah.
And it also covers the Urshifu, the water type Urshifu. No, it's the single strike. Okay, it's the single strike. Then never mind this, but it still also covers the Noivern. Urshifu, as you said, that's always, whether it's Gigantamax or Dynamax, to be honest, to me that doesn't even matter too much. It's still incredibly strong. You basically just disable the protect of your opponent, which is crazy if you think about it. And then there's so many of the prevalent threats in the current metagame with Primarina, for example, that's a scary team. Let me put it that way. When I filled in the survey from Funky, you were my definite go-to #1 threat in the league. I didn't even have to think about that after I saw your team. I just straight out locked that in.
I think that the only little issue I think you will have if you can't stop it is a Trick Room, our Trick Room mode. It's could a little bit difficult, but you have the Urshifu Single Strike, which can handle most of the Trick Room setters. Because I think Trevenant is good, but it's not the best Trick Room Pokemon, but it can do some stuff, at least. But on the other hand, it can do so much high...
It has imprisoned Trick Room as well.
Yeah. But after a taunt, that won't count anymore.
True.
But it's just a little weakness, if you can even say a weakness, but you have so much spread damage. This is what just scares me so much, because I don't think a lot of teams have White Guard in their teams. So, yeah, you can just crush through your opponents, maybe even not using the Dynamax. Very scary, and because you have a lot of type coverage and a lot of speed modes you can go. So you're on the high speed, and mid speed tier, and the low speed tier. You covered everything, I guess. I don't know how you were able to draft this team. I'm not sure how.
I would say being on either the very bottom end or the very top end is definitely beneficial for picking such a team.
It really helped.
But in all honesty, if I had to cast my vote right now, which I kind of have to, it's definitely a 5. It's a very strong 5. I said it before. That's, for me, the scariest team in the league. There are a lot of scary teams in the league, but this one is the scariest for me.
Yeah, same goes for me.
Alright, thank you.
Do you have anything to say to your own team?
I think the only thing I would love to have is Intimidate and or Fake Out. I was really thinking to pick Scrafty over Urshifu because it has the same typing. It has Fake Out Intimidate, which helps me in the Trick Room, to set up Trick Room. It also is slower than Primarina and it has Acid Spray, so it supports Primarina pretty well in Trick Room. But then I was like, okay, I rather have Urshifu because it's so disgusting. Yeah, it's just strong. It's just so disgustingly strong, and the ability is broken. So I had to pick it over Scrafty. Although I really love to have Fake Out and Intimidate, but you can't have them all, I would say.
And do you have Fake Out on the Meowstic, right?
Yes, I have. So that was also a point why I was like, okay, I can get away with picking Urshifu over Scrafty.
Okay, then let's have a look at the very last team, the Otto Oslos, my second opponent in question, the second Weezing in question, which honestly, at this point, the more I think about it, the more it drives me mad. They were the last one to pick, so they also had the benefit of always being able to pick 2 mons at the same time, which is really great. And with some of their picks, they made really great decisions, I would say. But there's also the team also looks a bit over the place to me at the first glance.
I think they started pretty strong with Galarian Weezing and Amoonguss.
Yeah.
2 very, very good supportive mons, although they have poison types, both of them. But I was like, okay, that's alright. But then there was the Gengar pick, and I was like, okay, that's now a little bit too much toxic. But overall, I really like the Weezing Jolteon combo. Jolteon is such a sleeper pick in tier 3, especially with Weezing, because Jolteon is so fast. You can, most of the times you only can outspeed it with something like priority or abilities, and Weezing is just like, okay, you can't do that. You will not be able to do that, and these 2 alone are pretty damn strong.
Yeah. And this color looks like this team looks like a snipe team. Because I think they picked a lot of Pokemon where everyone said, hey, this snipe me, because they was the last ones, and they had a double pick most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's true. They did pick up quite a lot of mons where at least one person in the league said, oh no, I wanted that one.
Yeah.
I don't get the Dual Blade and the Bomber Snow, to be fair. Maybe you can give me a side on that.
Well, Dual Blade has pretty decent typing, although I don't think it's needed because he already had 2 ghost types. So maybe another steel type would have been better over that. Obama Snow is pretty strong. I always loved it. I prefer the Mega, but regular Obama Snow is also pretty strong because it's okay in and outside of Trick Room. It's not the best, but you can make it work. And being able to set up the Hail and spam Blizzard is always valuable. And the typing is pretty unique, and it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. It's offensively pretty decent if you cover the weaknesses, which he did not do as well, I think. But yeah, since it also has Earth Power this generation, it becomes even better because now it can hit fire and steel types, which it otherwise couldn't. So I really respect the Obama Snow pick.
Yeah, I think the Obama Snow definitely is valuable for that team. However, what I really don't like about the team, and what already was kind of mentioned before, is there's a lot of duplicate typing.
Yeah.
There's so many ghost types, there's so many poison types, we have 3 grass types as well.
3 grass, 3 ghost, 3 poison. So Gengar and Among Us are pretty much wasted in typing wise.
Exactly. And that, unfortunately, really weakens this team. I think if they could use their swaps to round up their typing a bit better, this team can become scary.
Yeah, I also do not get why you have Lantern if you have Jolteon and Poliwrath already. I also do not get Poliwrath tier 2 without... I guess you can Rain Dance with Jolteon, but I rather would have another tier 2 pick than Poliwrath if I rely on Rain Dance Jolteon. I think there were better tier 2 picks, and yeah, I respect the Flygon pick. The typing is pretty decent. The speed is also okay. The offensive stats aren't the best, but Flygon can definitely do some work.
I personally think they damage their team by itself. I mean, if you can set up the hail with the Obama Snow, then the opposing side is free to Blizzard, which doesn't like Virizion, it doesn't like Flygon. Even though Obama Snow doesn't like that, the Among Us doesn't like that. They have 3-4 time weaknesses, I guess, on the Flygon, on the Virizion, on the Obama Snow. So I think for a draft format, as an opponent, you're pretty easy to cover that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think they don't have a lot of switch out potential. The pivot potential is not that great in that team, in my opinion. It's a little bit iffy, especially if you think about it was the last pick and you can double pick.
Yeah, I also do not get the Virizion since you don't have a beta user, at least I don't see it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of wasted tier 1 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Rex already mentioned, it kind of looks like they went for some Pokemon that are on their own that are quite cool and are potential snipes for other users in the draft league.
Yeah.
But they didn't end up as a nice synergetic core in their team, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the draft started with Weezing and Among Us, I was like, okay, this guy knows what he wants, he knows what he does. But the further and further the draft went on, I was like, okay, that's odd. It's like they are the Otto Oslos, in my opinion. and they ended up with, in my opinion, the weakest team by far of the draft. And I think they have to make a lot of changes to make the team better. But right now, I would say they are definitely not only the last one to pick, but also the last one in terms of strength.
What would your vote be?
I would say at most 2, but probably rather a 1.5. It would be 1.5 if the mons on their own, the individual mons, wouldn't be as strong.
I go with a 1.5 to be honest.
Yeah, I think the team, as it currently stands, is a 1.5. Wow, speaking is hard at this point. But I definitely see potential for this team if you get to make the right trades. Because as we stressed before, there's some really great Pokemon on their own already, and if you get to support them correctly, this can become a scary team easily. But currently, it's definitely the weakest in the league for me as well.
Yeah. want to mention just short is that we just analyze the teams. We don't diss someone personally. This is no.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to say. Even if I say something like Otto Oslo, it's not. I don't want to hate you. I know that in this draft league there are some newer players, and at the beginning of draft leagues my teams wasn't as good as they are nowadays. That's just a natural way, I would say. We don't make jokes on you or disrespect you by any means. I respect every opponent. I just rate the team. So
definitely.
Please don't feel offended.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And to be honest, I'm really looking forward to how you might surprise all three of us and
maybe we're
trick your opponents into losing or pull off some weird shenanigans. Who knows what you might have in the back with that team and what you might get to bring into your team to support the Pokemon that you already have and make some great core.
To bring the underdog effect on the table.
Exactly. If anyone can show us we are wrong, you are the one to do that.
Yeah. And just a comment maybe under this video what you thought about the draft. Why did you pick those Pokemon? Just let us know.
I would actually like to hear this from everybody in our league that hears that, especially if you don't make a draft analysis on your own team. Definitely make sure to leave a comment in at least the episode that we analyzed your team in. And just tell us some of your thought process and what you think about what we think about your team. That's definitely also very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're looking forward to a very cool next 10 weeks of fighting. I think the UGA, especially the Kalos Division we're in, is looking pretty good. The potential of cool fights is very high. I'm looking forward to it.
I second this. I think we have a division with very high competition and a lot of teams that could end up victorious in the end and proceed to the playoffs. And I'm really looking forward. I don't think there's a single team where I'd say, no, it would be lame to battle against you. So no matter how these matchups turn out, I'm really looking forward to all of them. And I'm excited to throw down some nice battles during the league.
Same.
Yeah, I totally agree. Nothing more to say.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chulainn. Thank you, Kev, for doing this analysis with me. And I don't want to talk anymore.
Same.
It's been a good 3 hours. I think we've said enough for today.
It was a ride. But a good ride. And so I would say just say bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
See you next
Thanks
time.
for watching.